of the Online Racing League Corvette C7R Cup. And it's been a little while since I did these races. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make last week's races. But if you remember from the week before, I was an almighty spoon at Virginia International Raceway, guys. So hopefully, we can have a bit of a better showing this week out at Watkins Glen. Now, obviously, quite a famous track, but a track on this game in these cars is just not a particularly good combination. And it's for the corner coming up, the bus stop is just not a nice place to be in these cars. It's just one of those horrible corners, especially with how close the tyre walls are. If you even run a little bit wide into it, you're hitting that tyre wall, flying straight back into the circuit, and that is game over for you and anyone that is within about 5 seconds behind you. But moving on into this race, I hadn't really done much practice. I'd done, I think, about 5 laps overall. You get to the end of the season, motivation runs a little bit low, but I think I'm around about sort of P15, P16 overall in the standings, and that is not including the drop rounds, which should elevate me even higher overall. So, I think sort of P11, P12, I'd like to get a top 10, but at the moment it's not looking 100% likely, guys. If I'm going to be able to do so, I'm just going to try and score as many points as I can during the final 2 rounds of the season. But coming towards the end of my qualifying laps here, you can just see I'm 2/10 down on this final run. This was really gutted for me if we come around the final couple of corners, guys. This is actually my fastest run in the end, which just really shows how much quicker I was able to go if I've been able to hook up the first half of this lap, guys. But diving it through the final couple of corners there, you just got to try and avoid the curbs. That get as close as you possibly can there. And through the final corner, barely scrape the curb there as we come out round the final turn, though, down towards the line. And it is going to be, as we bounce off the red line there, up into P8 we go. And we did actually end up going quicker there, just 7 thousandths quicker than my teammate EVR Taylor there, if I can actually pronounce the right name. So very, very happy with that. But, if we'd been able to take out another 2/10 from that lap, I would have been in A lobby. So a little bit gutted that I just missed out, guys, there, unfortunately. But we're stuck down in B lobby today, and we just need to try and take home as many points as we possibly can, guys. But having a look then at the grid for the first race of the evening, I'm on pole, and I've got my teammate EVR Taylor there right alongside me. 7 thousandths separate us in qualifying. So, it should be a very close race. ACR Surprise up in P3 there with another EVR guy, EVR Zonda, up in P4. So perhaps a 1-2-3 could be on the cards here. We'll have to wait and see. AMS Kempachi is in 5th with AMS Datsun up in P6 there as well. GTR Caesar's Wrath, one of my close championship rivals, up in P7. We've been in the same lobby every race this season. Custom Dips was in P8 there. My other teammate, EVR Hurricane, P9. Tiski from the GTR team, P10 there. And VBR Morvik, who some of you guys will recognise, in P11. Got Joey the Turtle in P12. I'm pretty certain the only guy not in a team in this lobby. AMS Jabba 13th there, with ACR Omnitheus down in P14 there. And to round out the field, we have got GFR Psycho. Let's move on then into the first round of the evening at Watkins Glen. It's lights out and away we go, and off to a fairly okay start. I think, with traction control, you're always just going to bog down. And with cold tyres down in towards turn 1 there, I just run a little bit deep in towards the corner there. My teammate EVR Taylor is able to just squeeze by straight away, and I do not play Forza anywhere near enough. I've been playing a lot of Project Cars and F1 2016 recently, so whenever I run a little bit deep into corners like that, on those games, I just try and drive straight on, avoid shredding the tyres and fading the brakes and things. But on this game, I should have really just turned in there like absolute normal. Ben wouldn't have been able to get the run there. Coming now through in towards the chicane there, Ben barely avoids hitting the wall there, but I get a little bit wide off the grass there, and unfortunately that's going to let ACR Surprise through. I try to defend from my teammate EVR Zonda there, but he is not going to be able to get the run on me in the EVR Blue car, the B team there, as we come now down in towards the second sector here. And ACR Surprise still just ahead of me here, and it could actually be quite a good little battle between me, Surprise, and Ben here. We were all separated by 8 thousandths of a second here. Kai was about a half a tenth off as well. So B lobby really know where the closest action always is, and then hopefully we can get some good racing today. And now skipping on to lap 4, and we've closed back in on ACR Surprise and my teammate Taylor once again as we come through the second sector and down towards this very, very odd hairpin there. Surprise goes for a bit of a dive bomb there then runs massively deep through the exit of the corner there. So I'm just going to slide on by, you know, counterbalancing from his mistakes there. Very, very happy that we were able to do so there. We moved back up now into P2 of the race, and I was feeling fairly confident, you know, at this point of the evening. You know, we were still right behind my teammate EVR Taylor here. You know, hopefully, if we can continue to pile on the pressure, then we could be looking like we could be challenging for race victory in the first round of the evening. You know, that would be a very, very good motivational booster. But as we skip on now to lap 7, and the gap to Taylor is closing down, but unfortunately I tried to look to the outside in towards turn 1 there, a little bit moving in the braking zone from him, but nothing too aggressive. I did have to brake a little bit earlier than I would have possibly liked, but you know, as we fly up through turn 2 and turn 3, up this very steep uphill there, and unfortunately I clipped the car there, can't get the car turned in, brush up against the wall ever so slightly, so this could give ACR Surprise a bit of a run down towards the tricky bus stop chicane here. You just got to try and go as fast as you possibly can, brake as late as you possibly dare there, but unfortunately I get bobbled up a little bit there on the curbs, have to completely go over the grass there, and that's going to send me massively wide through the carousel corner, and the car, when you get over that white line, just refuses to turn in there. So I've lost out absolutely massively there once again, and now all the way down, you know, sort of a good 300 feet behind Surprise and EVR Taylor once again. But as we skip on now to lap 9, the gap was slowly but surely coming back down a little bit once again as we come through this complex of corners once more. You know, these long flowing corners are actually very nice to drive on this game, guys. Coming now down in towards the tricky hairpin, and unfortunately for me, my controller disconnected.
To lap these people up ahead.
That was absolutely gutting for me, you know, I won't lie. And yeah, that's actually the first time my controller's ever disconnected during a Forza race. Absolutely no warning or anything there. As you can see, a couple of my teammates not too happy with what happened there. But yeah, that was my first race completely over. And at this point, you know, I'm just frantically trying to get the car sorted. You know, I actually couldn't hear party anymore. I think my mic had, like, just given up as well. I had a USB cable, like, right next to my Xbox ready to plug in, you know, if anything like this ever happened. Unfortunately, it has actually come to fruition at one point or another there. But that was my first race of the evening there. Completely ruined through no fault of my own. And then, unfortunately, that left me, obviously, down in P13 there. But it gave me pole position for the second race of the evening there. You know, VBR Morvik and GTR Tiski, where they did quit the race, they will not be able to start from the very front there. So, you know, that should give me a bit of a advantage as we move on into the second race, because, you know, I still felt like the quickest, or, you know, right at the very top of this lobby. So, you know, I can only hope during the second race that I get a better showing. You know, my controller will definitely be plugged in. But once again, 2 poles this evening. You know, I don't think many drivers can claim that. Psycho up in P2 there with ACR Omnitheist doing a strong... Well, he didn't do too well in the first race, hence why he's right at the very top. Jody Turtle, 5th place. AMS Ken Patchy there, lost out in a few positions during the first race, up in P5. Jubba, sick there, so a lot of AMS guys in this race. We got Custom Dips as well, another AMS driver. Then we have got EVR Hurricane, my teammate, looking strong in P8 there. AMS Datsun, P9 there. We've got Caesar's Wrath, who, you know, I need to try and get some good points over during this second race of the evening there. P10 Kai, P11 EVR Zonda, ACR Surprise P12, and then obviously EVR Taylor P13. Round 1 of the first race of the evening's winner. VBR Morvik P14, and then GTR Tiski, the 2 drivers that decided to quit the first race there, will start right from the very back, guys. But we are ready for the second round of the evening, and it's lights out, and away we go, and off to a, once again, a fairly standard start. Get a better launch than Psycho there that time, which should give me a nice clean run down towards turn 1 here. And, you know, we're actually going to turn in this time, which, you know, is sort of useful on this game if you want to be quick there. But I hold on to the lead through the first couple of corners here. And, you know, at this moment, I just wanted to try and pull away a bit of a gap. You know, if some drivers can get through and I make a couple of mistakes, then it'll be nice to, you know, have a bit of leeway behind me here in the early stages of this race. You can see already we've managed to pull out a 200-foot gap there as everyone behind me is scrambling for positions there. And I think actually there was a bit of contact there down at the back of the field. There's even more contact through the final couple of corners as well. And unfortunately for me, I think this does actually, therefore they call out a safety car as a couple of guys had to pit there. Not exactly what I needed, as I'd already been able to pull out a, well, you know, 300-400 foot gap already in just the first lap of the race there. But I slowed down coming out of turn 1 there. As you can see, a couple of drivers are unfortunately pitting there, which will cost me a huge amount of time during this race. But, you know, hopefully, as long as we can nail the restart, we should still be looking nice and solid in this race, guys. You can see coming to the end of lap 2 here, right at the end of the safety car period, holding it at a level 60 miles an hour here as we come through the final corner, ready to go. When I cross the line, everyone crosses the line, and then there you go as soon as they do. Jody Turtle actually dives into the pit lane there, which catches me out ever so slightly there, guys. But coming over the line we go, absolutely flooring the car there, obviously getting a much better run than Psycho. He was about 70 feet behind me. No idea why he didn't bunch up a lot more there as we come through turn 1 there. As you can see, we've already pulled out a nice little gap once again there, even more carnage in the background, but they decided they weren't going to bother with a safety car there, guys. As you can see, skipping towards the end of the race there, and that race fairly textbook for me as we come through the final few corners of the final lap of the race there, guys. You know, I should have been fighting right at the very front, obviously, in the first race there. And I think, you know, if I got a bit lucky during the second race as well, if I'd started from the back, you know, I really feel that 2 wins could have been on the cards this evening, guys. But unfortunately for me, it was not meant to be. As we come through the final couple of corners, though, of the second race of the evening and down towards the line, we are going to be able to take home a win at Watkins Glen here. Unfortunately, you know, down in B lobby there, but it's still going to be a good haul of points as we move on into the final race at Indy next week. But yeah, overall, very, very happy with that result. You know, nicely well done to me, if I do say so myself. EVR Taylor doing incredibly, incredibly well during both the races there, able to take home a first and a second there. EVR managed to win both B lobby races there, so, you know, still be happy with that. But having a look there, you see myself P1, EVR Taylor P2, getting a 1-2 for the EVR A team there, with Custom Dips, I think that is, up in P3 there. AMS Datsun, I think that is P4, ACR Surprise 5th, EVR Hurricane 6th, Jubba 7th, Psycho 8th, Jody Turtle 9th, Caesar's Wrath there 10th, Omnitheus 11th, is that Kai? EVR Zonda, yep, 12th, VBR Morvic 13th, Tiski quitting from both races this evening, and then Ken Patchy, I think that is, down in P15 there, guys. But hopefully, you know, you have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more of these races, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.